Following Ross Atkins making a huge signing by acquiring Max Scherzer in free agency, some new reports have dropped revealing the surprising truth behind the signing. And what these reports entail not only tell us a lot about why the Jays signed Max Scherzer, but also what this means going forward as huge moves are on the horizon. So stay tuned for all this episode, folks. Before we get into it, if you're part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Jays content. Thank you guys for your continued support. It means the world to myself as we're on the road to 16,000 subscribers, and had multiple videos for you all yesterday. And obviously, Ross Atkins made a huge signing by acquiring Max Scherzer. Now, whether or not he's going to contribute to the team in a big way, he is 40 years old, is up in the air. But at the very least, it's going to provide us some extreme entertainment value and just a ton of entertainment. But some new reports have dropped from Schneider, from a bunch of other guys as well, revealing some new details surrounding not only the signing here, but also what this means going forward as the Jays are not done. And let's start with this. So this is from Pat Ragoso. He basically said, and he dropped an article after the signing I believe it was late last night. He said, per sources, Toronto's goal was to land two of Scherzer, Pete Alonso, and Alex Bregman as they continue to attempt to extend Vladdy, which I'll have a video on later. They already signed Santander, Hoffman, brought back Garcia. One of Alonso or Bregman would have had them sitting pretty and as a wild card contender. Now, again, I covered this a little bit in yesterday night's video, but this is a new article that dropped basically doubling down on this. So this is new information surrounding, this is another reporter doubling down on the fact that their goal is to land two of the three. They got one of them so far. And there is some belief amongst Toronto brass that adding Scherzer will enhance their chances of landing Alonso, given the close relationship they formed during their time together with the Mets. They're also both represented by Scott Boras. The Blue Jays have been in contact with Bregman throughout the offseason as well, who is another Boras client. So if anything, it is they're doubling down on the fact that Scott Boras, obviously in contact with the Toronto Blue Jays, but that Ross Atkins and the Toronto Blue Jays are desperately trying to get at least two of the three of these guys. And I think at this point, Pete Alonso seems the most likely, although don't discount the fact that Alex Bregman could certainly be in there. And that is a big piece of information, two of the three. However, John Heyman also revealed some new information behind the signing, and this is the truth behind Max Scherzer's signing. He told the Jays that he'd happily consider them if they look like a pennant contender following their 74-win campaign. And after they signed Anthony Santander, Scherzer was good in his word, agreeing at $15.5 million for 2025. So it seems like the Jays and Max Scherzer had been in contact now for a while. And if you rewind, the Jays have been in conversations with a lot of these guys over the past few years, whether that be Max Scherzer or Justin Verlander before they signed with their other teams. And it seems like for a while now, Max Scherzer has been on the Blue Jays' radar. He's a veteran guy. He is a great pitcher. And will he be able to provide a ton of value at this point in his career? That's the big question. It's obviously going to be fun to see and hope. But the fact that he agreed to, and he told the Jays he would happily consider them if they look like a pennant contender, is a huge sign for the Toronto Blue Jays, because clearly Max Scherzer believes, and he's as competitive as they come, he believes, ladies and gentlemen, that the Jays are going to be pennant contenders, obviously going for the AL East. Now, is that a reality at this point? I still think they need some more bats, but that also leads into the fact that I still think that Max Scherzer signed this deal, and Ross Atkins, Mark Shapiro, they told Max, hey, we're going to go out and ideally get one of the big premier hitters in the market that's remaining. And again, Anthony Santander was one of them. But again, new reports keep coming out surrounding two of the three of these guys. And we've heard rumblings about Alex Bregman. We've heard rumblings about Pete Alonso. And where there's smoke, usually we wouldn't say there's fire because of how many free agents they missed out on. But in this case, they haven't been missing out on the past few. They were linked to Santander. They got him. They were linked to Jeff Hoffman briefly. They got him. They were linked to Max Scherzer. They got him. So things are starting to turn on their head a little bit here. And this is very interesting. Now, this was an article that was dropped by Shai Davidi, shedding some light on the signing as well. Confident in both his stuff and health after an injury-plagued season, the Jays reached an agreement. Once finalized, the signing crosses off the final item on the club's offseason to-do list, a starting pitcher. Scherzer's looming signing should deepen the rotation, as we know, but there is some risk. And he goes on to give some more information surrounding, the actual player himself. So Scherzer was in catch-up mode from the outset last year, rehabbing from his injury, and later had two other injured list stints for right shoulder fatigue and a left hammy strain. Still, the Jays feel confident enough in his recovery to bet on the upside and inform Scherzer offers, even, amid his physical challenges. He posted a great ERA. And discussion had simmered, and this is kind of, Shadavidi covering himself a little bit, because let's not forget last week he said that there was no progression of talks, and now he's covering himself a little bit. Discussions had simmered between the Jays and Scherzer heading into the 18th season for a few weeks, but accelerated in recent days, leading to Thursday afternoon's agreement, which is interesting because it says he simmered over the past few weeks, but then accelerated in a few days. He literally tweeted last week that things hadn't progressed. So a bit interesting there. But again, it is what it is. I think ultimately Shai Davidi and Ben Nicholson-Smith are probably being fed information from Ross and Mark, which makes them look a lot worse than I think they actually are. I think at this point, they're just being fed the information they're given. And a lot of it is just in Rogers' best, their best wits, because at the end of the day, it's been a bit rough for Shai Davidi and Ben Nicholson-Smith, but that's for another day. The market for starters has thinned considerably over the course of the winter, with Burns, Max Fried to a lesser extent, Blue Jays' early targets. We know they all went for them. And something else that dropped from Shai Davidi, I wonder if there's a sort of agreement that there's going to be something next for the Jays. He said that on the 590 The Fan. So this is interesting because Shai Davidi, obviously, when he drops hints, they're very educated. And he's been saying a lot of things lately about how, I mean, we know that Ben Nicholson-Smith and Shai Davidi came out and said that they might not even, break through that $13 to $23 million more on their payroll after they got Andres Gimenez. They have spent like $100+ million since. They are crushing any CBT threshold that we were all worried about. And they're probably going to go near or over $300 million if they go ahead and get Pete Alonso and some other guys. But again, he says, I wonder if there's a sort of guarantee that there's going to be something next for the Jays. It's very rare that Shai Davidi speaks in that way. And I think that's because he's being told that, hey, the Jays probably have something else in order with Pete Alonso, but nothing is confirmed yet. And that's where I think I'm at right now. The Jays offseason so far for me is a B+ to an A. If they get Pete Alonso, it goes to an, close to an A+, and they have to extend Vladdy in order for the full offseason to be an A+, which I think they're going to do. We'll have a video probably later today on that, but either way, new reports are dropping surrounding Vladdy extending. New reports are dropping about Pete Alonso. It started with reportedly Doug Doucette and all these other New York Mets reporters saying the Jays are, finalizing talks with Pete Alonso. And then things started to cool down, and we saw some tweets late last night from some interesting guys in the Mets industry saying that there could be some rumblings about him going back to the Mets. And if that's the case, it's okay if he goes back to the Mets. I think you pivot on Alex Bregman. And the way that everybody's speaking now, according to these sources, I think they get one of these two guys, whether it be Pete Alonso or Alex Bregman. Clearly, Alex Bregman has an offer on the table from the Jays at 6 years. I don't think this is his preferred destination. Whereas it seems like with Max Scherzer, this may have been his preferred destination, which is crazy to think about. A Hall of Fame pitcher calling the Toronto Blue Jays his preferred destination. And obviously, there's a lot of people saying that no one wants to go to the Blue Jays, all these different things. They just got Anthony Santander with a ton of deferred money who wanted to go to the Jays. You got Max Scherzer, one of the best starting pitchers of all time, wanting to go to the Jays. You have Jeff Hoffman, a top 10 relief pitcher in baseball, and some people's best reliever on the board. I think Scotty Mitchell had him as his best reliever on the board. Of course, Tanner Scott would be up for the debate there. The Jays are getting players. And as you think about it now, the business case for such possibilities, talking about future additions, the Jays are believed to be around, but under the second CBT of 271. They may make landing free agents, Pete Alonso and Bregman, more difficult. They've been saying this all offseason. He literally said, Shai Davidi, that things would be hard for them to even make another addition. They got Santander. If that is indeed the case, the question becomes whether the additions they've made, along with the players they've acquired, is enough. I think absolutely. The bigger picture, the question of Vladdy's future, will soon come into focus, and that's a big thing. February 18th. We're now, as of the time of uploading this, we're now 18 days away from spring training, people reporting, which is super exciting because baseball is coming back. It's finally coming back into fruition here. But Vladdy is still yet to extend. And if they go out and they get a Pete Alonso or Alex Bregman, this team is looking absolutely incredible. They're looking like a wagon for this upcoming season. But if they don't extend Vladdy, that's going to be the looming question going over them the entire year. But let me know down below what your thoughts are. Things are getting crazy. We're going to keep you up to date with all this news. Thank you guys for watching. See you later. Cheers.